Hi everyone! When looked closely at KLM's fleet, something odd stands out. Most of these blue jets carry the airline's proud royal crown on the tail, but on 9 of them, the crown's missing. Instead, you just see one word: Asia. No crown, no Dutch flag, just Asia. This isn't a typo, and it isn't some bold new branding move. It's one of the strangest and smartest survival stories in modern aviation. This is the story of KLM Asia. Let's rewind for a second. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines started flying in 1919, which makes it the oldest airline that's still using its original name. Based out of Amsterdam Schiphol, KLM survived World War II, broke ground with transatlantic flights to New York, and teamed up with Northwest to create World Business Class. By the 1990s, KLM had expanded deep into Asia, adding new routes to Beijing and turning Schiphol into what many called China's gateway to Europe. But growth in China came with a catch, and that catch has a name: Taiwan. Taiwan and mainland China share one of the most complicated political relationships on Earth. After their civil war in the late 1940s, both governments claimed they were the real China. Only Beijing laid down a strict rule. If your airline flies to Taiwan, you're not allowed to fly to mainland China anymore. That put KLM and other big global carriers in an impossible position. China was the future, but Taiwan was already lucrative today. Nobody wanted to choose. So airlines started getting creative. In October 1995, KLM came up with a workaround. They set up a separate subsidiary, registering it in Taiwan instead of the Netherlands, and called it KLM Asia. On paper, KLM Asia was a separate company. It flew its own routes, it carried its own branding, and crucially, it stripped away every Dutch national symbol, like the crown and its flag, from its aircraft livery. To Beijing, KLM Asia wasn't the Dutch flag carrier anymore. It was simply a Taiwan-registered airline that happened to share a name. That small legal fiction was enough. It let KLM keep flying its mainline services into mainland China, while KLM Asia quietly handled the Taipei route. The very first KLM Asia flights connected Amsterdam to Taipei, often routing through Bangkok's old Don Mueang Airport using the Boeing 747 planes. Later, the airline extended service further, using Taipei as a stopover point on flights continuing on to Manila in the Philippines. And KLM wasn't alone in this strategy. British Airways ran an almost identical playbook, launching British Asia Airways in 1993 to fly London to Taipei via Hong Kong, a subsidiary that lasted about 5 years before being shut down. KLM Asia's branding told the political story without saying a word. Take KLM's classic blue logo with the crown perched above its name, and just remove the crown. That's KLM Asia. Identical colors, same font, same airline, just no royalty and no flag. It was a masterclass in diplomatic branding. Different enough to satisfy Beijing, familiar enough that any traveler could recognize it as KLM in every way that mattered. This quiet arrangement worked for years until politics moved again. In 2008, Taiwan voted in a government with friendlier ties to Beijing. For the first time, airlines could fly direct charters and then scheduled flights between Taiwan and China, and the old pick one or the other rule fell apart. Airlines ditched their Asia subsidiaries, wrapped them back into normal operations, or just moved the routes to local partners like EVA Air or Cathay Pacific. Almost every other carrier's Asia subsidiary disappeared this way, except KLM. They never bothered to shut it down. Even now, KLM Asia still exists as a wholly owned subsidiary, registered in Taiwan, and still flying without the crown. Only its fleet has modernized from the old jumbo jets to 777 planes, but the concept hasn't changed since 1995. It's become something unique in the industry, the last surviving Asia subsidiary of its kind. A crazy aviation story of a very specific era of airline diplomacy still quietly running Amsterdam to Taipei. So next time you're at Schiphol and you spot a KLM jet rolling past without its crown, don't think it's an accident or a joke. That crownless tail is 30 years of careful negotiation painted in one word. It's KLM Asia. Proof that sometimes the smartest move is knowing exactly what not to put on your tail. Thanks for watching.